Good morning, everyone, and welcome to 1 Million Cups. We're really excited today to have Susie here from MERLIN Mentors so that we can learn a little bit more about what's going on in our community and what resources there are for entrepreneurs. A couple quick plugs from our sponsors. We're really thankful to have Derek here with Field 59 doing the live stream and the video recording of today's presentation. You can always find them on our YouTube channels or via the 1 Million Cups website. Feel free to pass along the live stream if you ever think that there's somebody who wants to see the daily presenter and isn't able to make it to the library. We're also thankful for the coffee from Baker Tilly, so thank you, Baker Tilly, and donuts from Baird. So we've got quite the spread going over there. Feel free to get up during the presentation, refill your cups or your plates. A quick plug from Nordic. We are hiring lots of people, so if you know anybody, send them our way. And we also are going to be having an event on May 6th at the Blind here in Madison for anybody who's interested in being a consultant or joining the home office. So if you're interested in that, feel free to ping me and I'd be happy to help you out. We're going to do some quick introductions. My name's Rachel Neal. I'm one of the organizers of 1 Million Cups, and I also work at Nordic.
Morning, my name is Bron Dahlmans. I am the director of the Wisconsin Angel Network.
Juan Gomez with the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation.
Joey Freen, Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation.
Hi, Eric Brown. I'm a management consultant. Been doing it for close to 30 years, and I help companies with business plans, financial projections. So if there's anybody entering the Governor's Business Plan Contest, I'm glad to lend a hand.
I'm Ben Falk with Robert W. Baird.
Steve Deinhardt, MoolePitch.com and Heartland Business Transitions.
I'm Byron Friends. I'm a member of MERLIN Mentors and Wisconsin Investment Partners. My company's name is CW Technologies, and I do research on business development.
Shobin Thacker with HealthX Ventures and also an organizer here.
Derek Gebler with Field 59. I'm Tom Willis. I'm a technology consultant working in software engineering, intellectual property, and building agile teams.
I'm Dan Anderson with Baker Tilly.
Hi, Sarah Garnett with the Greater Madison Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Scott Resnick with Starting Block Madison.
Hi, I'm Maddie Niebauer, and I have a virtual chief of staff business called vChief.
My name is Ed Graves. I'm with the library.
I'm Michael Spellman. I'm also with the library.
I'm Drew Corson. I'm an attorney with Knight & Boucher and one of the organizers here, Million Cups.
Well, thank you. It is on. Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out. My name is Susie Yonkel. I am program director at MERLIN Mentors, and thank you very much for the invitation to speak this morning, Rachel. MERLIN Mentors is an organization dedicated to helping entrepreneurs, helping build entrepreneurs through a structured mentoring process that matches entrepreneurs with experienced mentors. We're modeled after MIT's venture mentoring service, which was started around 2000. We were started in 2008 by a few very experienced Madison entrepreneurs, longtime entrepreneurs, in collaboration with some UW-Madison entities, including Office of Corporate Relations, University Research Park, School of Business, and WARF. And today we receive our funding from University Research Park. So we're one of their programs. We also receive support from these other university organizations as well. So we've been around for about 7.5 years, and in that time, MERLIN has mentored over 270 entrepreneurs and assisted with the creation or growth of about over 100 active companies. And according to our metrics, a majority of those companies are still being pursued on a full-time basis by their founders. In terms of MERLIN's objectives, our first objective is to increase the number of entrepreneurs in the Greater Madison area. And our approach to doing this is to build entrepreneurs. So we're most focused on mentoring the individual and not necessarily critiquing their business idea. As you can imagine, that's hard. The two are certainly very tied together. When you're mentoring the individual, you're also working with them on their business. But we first and foremost look for entrepreneurs who are mentorable, who we think have the willingness to learn, want to make themselves better entrepreneurs. So we don't focus quite as much on their particular business idea when they're applying to our program. And we have a long-term approach. I think we all know entrepreneurs who were not successful with their first or second or even third venture, and then down the road were eventually successful. So our philosophy at MERLIN is that even if the first business doesn't work out, we hope that we are helping entrepreneurs build those skills that in the future they will be able to build a successful business. So our approach is a very organized, systematic approach to mentoring. We do use a team-based approach in most cases. If someone is really early stage, we might just have that entrepreneur work one-on-one with a mentor. But for the more advanced entrepreneurs, we do match them with a team of mentors. We have very strict guidelines for our ventures and our mentors. We really want to make sure that the mentors provide unbiased advice. There can't be any sort of economic involvement in the mentee's business. If that were the case, then we would ask that mentor to step off the team. So everyone does, our mentor teams sign a statement acknowledging MERLIN's rules. So everyone's very aware of this. Part of our program is also we do make referrals and connections to other groups in town. For example, many of our entrepreneurs can benefit from services of the Law and Entrepreneurship Clinic. So I oftentimes refer them to the L&E Clinic, and they're working with that organization in conjunction with MERLIN. Some of our women entrepreneurs are also involved with Doyan. We also refer people to the Small Business Development Center. So I'm fairly new in my role at MERLIN, but one of the things I've really been working on is trying to become an expert in those different resources in Madison so that I can also make the proper referrals to our MERLIN entrepreneurs. We are providing education, not necessarily direction on how to run the business. Ultimately, the entrepreneurs have to do the work of running their venture, and ultimately they're the ones who have to make the tough decisions on how to tough decisions that every business has to make. I should also mention our services are free. We do not charge any fees to our entrepreneurs, nor do we take any equity stake in the organizations. All of our mentors are volunteers. I'm the one paid staff person, and I'm part-time, so it's a pretty lean operation. So in terms of the entrepreneurs that we help, we want passionate people who are excited and committed to pursuing their ideas. They can be at any stage in the development of their organization. So we do sometimes work with entrepreneurs who just have an idea, perhaps a rough business plan. We also work with people who have founded a business. They're maybe have a prototype or getting ready to go to market. They definitely need some guidance. I would say we could probably help those groups those entrepreneurs a little bit more than the really, really early stage ones, but we're certainly willing to help someone who's just getting started with an idea. And then we also help people who have had an existing business that they're kind of ready to take it to the next stage. So for example, we've been working with a PhD clinician who's running a really successful growing business, but she's a clinician and really wanted some help at she's been operating this business for many years, but how does she grow in a smart way? She doesn't particularly have a business background, although I think she's pretty business savvy, but she wasn't trained that way. So she's looking for help of what are the next steps for her in smartly growing her business. So we certainly help with that as well. But overall, our mentoring approach is tailored to the individual business. So the mentors that we match up with the entrepreneurs and are really, we try to make them very appropriate for the stage where the entrepreneur is. So an example of the kinds of businesses, and this is my favorite slide here, and Derek, thank you. I'm Derek Gabler from Field 59, who's doing the video today, is a Merlin entrepreneur. Last week's presenter, Nick Cardos from Jim Dandy, is a Merlin entrepreneur as well. But this gives you a sense of the wide array of companies that we mentor. So we have the high growth tech startups, and we also have companies like a very beloved Short Stack Eatery, and places like House of Brews and Mobcraft, Feline Studios, which is iron casting. So it's a really wide variety of entrepreneurs and companies that we do mentor. So our expectations of the entrepreneur, and I referenced this a bit earlier, is we want people who are really committed to improving themselves and developing as an entrepreneur, who want to make progress with their business, who are willing to hear the candid advice that's sometimes hard to hear from their mentors. We want to know the state of their company in an honest way, and we do need people who are have the time for mentoring. As I said, we do mentor quite a few people who are doing this full time with their businesses. But we have other entrepreneurs who, this is maybe a weekend project or a few hours a week, but we do need people who can make a meaningful time commitment to this process. We want people, of course, who are prepared and respect their mentor's valuable time and have regular communications with his or her mentors. This is very much a mentee-driven process. And to be a successful entrepreneur, you have to be out there and be taking a lot of initiative. And so with this process, certainly the mentors will check in with people if they haven't heard from them in a while. But we very much try to make the mentor or mentees drive this process. And then I should also mention, we serve entrepreneurs who are in the greater Madison area or South Central Wisconsin. We do not work with we don't have a program where people come to town and from elsewhere and work with us. So who are our mentors? You've met a few of them this morning. We have over 100 volunteers in our MERLIN network from a very wide variety of industry backgrounds, both a combination of entrepreneurs, people who have founded businesses, and people who are corporate executives. Usually our mentors will have some sort of executive level experience. They are peer reviewed as well, in the sense that we have our mentors fill out an online application to participate in MERLIN, and then our kind of overall director of MERLIN, he does review the applications in conjunction with me. And most of our mentors come through referrals from existing mentors. So there'll be a guest at a meeting, find out what MERLIN is about, and then apply to join us. But they all share the common attributes of being successful and wanting to share their experience with other entrepreneurs who are just getting started. And then we do ask people, just like with the mentees, we want people who have the time to effectively mentor teams, and that varies. Sometimes if someone is traveling a lot or has a big project or can't dedicate their time, they don't sign up to do any mentoring, and then when their time commitments change, then they can come back into MERLIN. So for our mentors, it's not an all or nothing thing. We have people who kind of ebb and flow from the MERLIN program. And then lastly, we do want people who are very respectful of our conflict of interest rules and our operating guidelines, and really understand the mission of MERLIN as first and foremost being about mentoring the individual entrepreneur. So our process, kind of nuts and bolts of MERLIN for the entrepreneurs. The entrepreneur starts out by filling out an online application, and I should mention that this is a rolling application process. We don't, for example, do 2 or 3 classes a year. I know some of the accelerators in town do. We have the entrepreneur will be scheduled then to present at one of our review committee meetings. We do those just about every month. So for example, I just filled up our review committee meeting for April 5th with 4 entrepreneurs to present. I'm now looking to schedule into May, our May review committee meeting for the next group of entrepreneurs. So they'll present for 10 minutes to our review committee, which is a subset of our mentors. It's typically our very active mentors. And there will be some Q&A that follows that presentation. And the goal is for our review committee to assess the mentor ability, how much this person wants to learn about being a better entrepreneur. We rarely turn anyone away. Usually we even if it's someone really early on in the process, we'll provide them with some one-on-one mentoring to hopefully get them to the point where they are ready for a mentor team. So the outcomes from our review committee meeting, as I said, we might not want to work with someone that's really uncommon. We might work one-on-one, or if the person's a little bit farther along and ready, we will invite them to present at our monthly mentor meeting, to which all of our mentors are invited. And at that meeting, we would hear another presentation from the entrepreneur, and then he or she would be matched with a team of about 2 to 5 mentors. And then the mentoring relationship usually lasts about 12 months, but there's a lot of variation. We have, especially if it's a group that's worked really well together, they may kind of continue that relationship on a more informal basis. But that's generally what MERLIN looks like. So we have traditionally been, as I mentioned, I'm fairly new to my role at MERLIN, and we've traditionally had kind of one product, which was mentoring, this team-based mentoring, which is terrific. We are looking to do a little bit more in the community. So look for us this summer. One of our upcoming events will be, save the date, at Ford Festival this summer. We will be sponsoring the pitch and replay portion of the Badger Startup Summit. So this will be 20 tables staffed with 20 of our mentors or more, 20 or more mentors. And entrepreneurs will apply to pitch at this event. It will be, I can't remember exactly how many minutes, but a few minutes of pitching followed by a few minutes of feedback from our mentors, and then they'll rotate to the next table. So we'll do 6 of those in a row. And for those of you entrepreneurs in the room, that will be a really good experience. I know last year people had a great experience. It's really good feedback, and you do a lot of them right in a row. So it's a great experience. So look for more information about that event coming this summer. And with that, I'd be happy to turn it over to questions.
Thanks a lot, Susie. Just throw your hand up and I'll bring the mic over to you. Just for those of you who haven't been here, the mic isn't for amplification in the room, but for the live stream. So just sit tight until it comes to you. So, questions? Yeah.
Hi, how many mentees do you take on at one time? Do you have a cap or something?
We don't have a specific cap, although the numbers have kind of balanced out in the sense that we usually every month have 2 mentees or groups of mentees that present to our full mentor group to be matched with a mentor group. So to be matched with a mentor team. So I would say it's about 2 a month.
Susie, how is the supply and demand? Mentors, mentees, do you have too many of one and not enough of another?
It's pretty good right now. I would say back in January, we did not have a lot of mentee applications, so I was out there saying, hey, we have openings, please apply, or encourage people to apply. Now I'm getting a few more applications, and I understand, after Ford Festival, we'll get quite a few of them. So it kind of comes and goes, but I think it ends up balancing out. And in terms of mentors, I'm always looking for mentors. We do have enough, but people get busy, they move, they take on new roles where they don't have as much time to mentor. So I'm always happy to have more mentors, especially people who have software, SaaS, tech background, biotech.
Other questions? All right. While I'm walking over, I'll ask, does MERLIN coordinate with other mentoring groups? Say someone from northern Wisconsin were to contact you, and that's just kind of out of your geographic scope. How do you funnel those people to the right people?
I haven't had that situation yet where someone from northern Wisconsin asked me about mentoring, but I don't know what type of resources would be there, but.
In the context of the landscape of entrepreneurial resources, okay, we have MERLIN, we have SCORE, we have the accelerators. How do you differentiate? Where does MERLIN fit in the context of what, if I as an entrepreneur went to SCORE or went through one of the accelerators?
Well, and I think, for example, some of the accelerators I think are focused more on high growth businesses, where, as you've seen, they probably wouldn't take a restaurant or kind of a lifestyle business that we would be willing to mentor. So I think that's one difference for us. And then also, we are willing to work with people pretty early stage. So if someone gets mentored by MERLIN and then goes on to get into Generator or, a similar program, that's fantastic. So, yeah.
Any other questions, feedback?
I am one of the mentors, and to answer that question that was earlier asked about someone from outside of the community, one of the companies that I mentored was from Illinois, but they had interest in doing projects in Wisconsin. So in that case, we mentored him for over a year.
Thanks, Byron.
Well, at A Million Cups, we always ask, what can we as the community do? I mean, apart from entrepreneurs who might need mentors and potential mentors, is there anything that the lay people or service providers or other non-entrepreneurs can do to help?
Well, now that you all know a lot about MERLIN Mentors, yes, please, if you know of an entrepreneur who could benefit from our services, please send him or her our way. And likewise, if you know someone who would be a really good match for a mentor, please send him or her our way. In terms of mentors, I specifically would like to recruit more women and minority mentors. And excuse me. And as I said, people who have more of a biotech background would always be helpful as well. Yes, Rachel.
How diverse is your mentor population?
I would say not hugely diverse. And I should also mention age diversity as an issue too. I mean, I would love to have some successful younger entrepreneurs, like Ted Gurman, who was a mentee of ours and then founded Blue Tree Network and now is back as a mentor. So that to me is a great success story. So younger as well. I mean, we have quite a few retirees who are mentors. They are fantastic. They have time and so much expertise, but all ages would be really helpful as well. So I would say we can definitely work on diversity of our mentors a lot.
So piggybacking on that, the age question.
Yes.
Some of us who are younger, who aren't necessarily entrepreneurs ourselves or successful at all, but may have like particularized skill sets, like hypothetically like lawyers or accountants, would there be any room for, kind of very narrowly focused mentoring? Like if you wanted to get involved as a service provider, maybe not the full start to finish mentoring, but I mean, this is kind of spitballing too, but
that's a great question. And we don't typically have a lot of service providers as our mentors. And what I would usually do, I know Niter and Boucher, for example, was helping with a Doyen legal series recently. So my approach usually would be to refer someone to that group, to Doyen's program. So I think that's how I've generally handled it. But it's certainly something we could look into in the future. I haven't considered it a lot. But thank you for, I think, volunteering to help.
So a couple different questions. One is, what's considered successful for you, especially on the tech side? What is considered a successful mentorship program? Because I think a lot of questions I kind of have is, are you able to then introduce do you do pitches to investors, right? Because a lot of tech companies need that. Or do you make the introductions to X, Y, or Z, whatever they may need? So I'm trying to understand kind of I know you guys mentioned them from kind of like a year, but what does that equate to in terms of success? And then how cohesive is the program, i.e. if you get assigned with a mentor that's doing one thing, but there is another mentor that's an expert in that field? Is there cohesiveness amongst the group that kind of allows people to kind of go back and forth between mentors and stuff like that?
Yeah, and those are excellent questions. So the first one, in terms of measuring success, and as most of you know, that's a hard thing to, measure outcomes, especially when, people move and go on to different entities and things like that. We do have most of the mentor teams at the beginning of the mentoring relationship. We'll talk about the goals for, that entrepreneur's goals. So we can certainly look and see after, let's say, a year, have they achieved those goals that they were looking for. In terms of raising capital and pitching and things like that, it really varies from team to team. We don't have a formal program where we work with people on their pitches. And I think there are other groups in town that do that. We will be doing that in the context of Badger Startup Summit and Forward Festival this summer. And I think that will be really useful. Some of our entrepreneurs simply don't need to work on their pitches as much as others. They, again, maybe have a lifestyle business. They're not out there raising capital, or, they're just not at the stage where they need that. That being said, I think any entrepreneur should be able to have a good pitch for, what their business is all about, but whether or not they're going in front of investors. There's a lot of variation with that with our MERLIN entrepreneurs. And in terms of introductions to capital, sometimes it happens that, or to sources of capital, sometimes it happens that the entrepreneur is ready for that and the mentors can make that introduction, but that's not necessarily, people don't come to MERLIN. We don't ever say that we will make introductions to angel investors or venture capitalists or anything like that. That's not a specific part of the MERLIN program. In terms of your second question of sort of matching people with the right expertise, our mentor teams are not static. So if maybe there's not a good personality fit, we can certainly switch up our mentor teams and add someone or take someone off. And likewise, if there's someone who has very specific expertise that would be useful to that entrepreneur, I have bios of all the mentors, and I would certainly reach out and try to get that particular mentor on the team. Of course, it depends on the willingness of the mentor, time commitments, things like that. But we definitely try to match people up when there's sort of a logical match of expertise.
Great. Well, any final questions or thoughts? If not, thank you so much, Susie.
Thank you.
And thank you to Field 59, Baker Tilly, Baird for the donuts. Thank you to all of you. Keep coming back. We've had what feels like a real hot streak of great presentations and great attendance, and that can only keep getting better. So thank you for coming.